गुड मॉर्निंग एंड वेलकम टू गना शॉट। गना शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है। टुडे आई एम गोइंग अ बिट हिस्टोरिकल, to understand what happened at that time. We're going to talk about the genocide which Bangladesh has forgotten conveniently. That's a classic case of uh, collective amnesia, a national amnesia. And of course, we're going to see why did that 71 war happen? What are the reasons behind it? Many people don't understand it. I find that a lot of Bengalis, no, I wouldn't say Bengalis, I would say Bangladeshis, think it just happened. They think that it just happened because of some funny reasons and, all that. They have no clue of their own history. And a nation which, or a set of people who don't take heed of their own history are destined to repeat it. And that is what is happening in Pakistan, in Bangladesh. A nation which wants to revise its own history and run away from it will only keep running away from it and will never come to the grips of its own reality. And the grips of its own reality are what uh, is holding Bangladesh where it is. That is something which people have to understand. And today we'll see where it all started from. Okay. We'll go back in time. A few facts I'll put across and I will go across. Remember, we are at a time when, I still remember going back to my school days. I was in school where we didn't know whether the war was to start or not. Situation was bad. Refugees were coming out. We had set up a whole lot of refugee camps, all that. And there's a events leading up to the war. We didn't know what was happening. This is not the time of the internet. We couldn't even do a telephone call within the city. We were people who didn't have communications. It was a daily newspaper, the Hindu in Chennai, the Chennai I grew up. That was it. And a lot of discussion, a lot of things. Mind you, in my school also we used to discuss this a lot. But let me go back to the events which happened then. This is a newspaper clipping of that day, 18th November. Have a look at it fully. Then you'll understand. 18th November. And it says 1,000 people killed by Pakistan troops in Dhaka. I mean, in those days, it was quite a norm to see or hear of atrocities of this variety happening every day. Every day. Today, 1,000 might be a lot, but in the overall context of what happened then, it's nothing. The Pakistani troops were indiscriminate in killing Bangladeshis. The same Pakistanis are now today being called as their whatever. Okay, and there were a lot of Bangladeshis today which who are called Razakars in Bangladesh, who still want Pakistan to come back. They want to go back into Pakistan. The question which we got to see ahead is this Pakistan going to come back up East Pakistan? The the new avatar of East Pakistan is Bangladesh, or the new Bangladesh which is coming up after this. We'll see. Because unless you understand what happened then and how these guys treated each other, right? Uh, we'll never understand how to deal with Bangladesh or Pakistan, right? Yeah, this is another interesting thing. This is of dawn of those days. What does it say? Okay, it says 49 Indian jets downed. If 49 Indian jets were downed on that at that time during the war, Pakistan should have surely won the war. This is a kind of misinformation. 70 years later, this is divided by seven, and seven Rafale jets are broken. Misinformation. I'm going to talk of this in the evening. We're going to have in the three good generals. We're going to talk of this. Right? So, the point is that misinformation and disinformation, lying, this is the hallmark of the Pakistani state, not now, even then. Just think 49 Indian. I saw this headline and I said, I must show it to everyone. The interesting part is the world believed Pakistan then. When I say the world, a large part of people believed Pakistan then. A large part of people in the West and China and everywhere felt Pakistan was winning the war till it lost. Except the guys on the ground, those reporters, those few good reporters on the ground who are of a different metal altogether. We're going to talk of all this in the next 2 weeks. Okay? Who are of a different metal altogether. The rest were faking. Today, the world accepts that, Pakistan downed 7 jets. Those days, they accepted they downed 49 jets. And they were winning till then, till they lost, like I said. Anyway, let's go ahead. 2016, 9 years back, Smithsonian came out with the Smithsonian magazine came out with this article. Okay, it says, the genocide that US can't remember, but Bangladesh can't forget. Today, this is a genocide even Bangladesh can't remember. This is written in Smithsonian. Very clear. And Bangladesh has forgotten about it. Completely. This is a very well recorded genocide. And there are very good details about it. This is one of the very famous pictures of, near Kushtia, refugees crossing over the rivers to get into India. I can show you some fantastic pictures about the conditions of the rape and all that. It's documented. It's available. No one sees it today. If I show it, YouTube will ban me. So I don't know how to show it, but I will. One of these days, in the forthcoming episodes, I'll take the chance. Why did this whole thing start? What is the problem between Pakistan and East Pakistan then? Let's get to that crux, and then we'll see what led and how the genocide took place. Understanding that part is important because that is being unwound today. Unwound. Okay. In some manner, in some strange manner. When the Bangladeshis want to destroy the residents of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, what are they doing? They're destroying their own history. You might not like your history, but you destroy it. You don't have a history. You don't have a future. Unless you have a history, a nation which doesn't have a history doesn't have a future either. Because when you go into the future, when you look back, it's the history which you started. That's the thing. And when you look at the fundamentals, The basic issue was political and economic inequality. Power in Pakistan then was concentrated in West Pakistan. The East was treated as a colony even then by the Punjabis. Right? The East Wing, however, had a larger population and generated most of the country's foreign exchange. The industry, the everything was here. Jute, that time, jute was in East Pakistan. To a large extent, East Pakistan funded West Pakistan, but it got disproportionately low budget allocations, underrepresented in the military and in the administration of the whole country. Not only that, they didn't get enough representation in not only the military, even in the legislature. They had an equal vote basis, equal representation, the West Wing and the East Wing. Though the East Wing had more, population. So it was not one vote, one, it was not universal suffrage the way we have one man, one vote. No. The vote of the West Pakistanis was higher than the East Pakistanis. Okay. So this is what they want. And one of these days I'll go into the politics and all that in detail. How in fact, till Yahya Khan made it in that general election, West Pakistan was one province, this was one province. It was he who then broke it up into Sindh, all that. That's a different story. I'll not get into that. We'll talk of this. Then there was a fundamental issue of cultural and linguistic differences. West Pakistan wanted Urdu. Okay. West Pakistan's imposition of Urdu, it was the sole official language. And it was seen in East Pakistan as an attempt to suppress the Bengali culture, language, and the Bengali language movement started off and all that. But then, that was then. Even today, Urdu is not natural in Pakistan. What are the natural languages of Pakistan? The natural languages of Pakistan are Sindhi, Punjabi, Pashto, the Baluch, Saraiki, Kashmiri, whatever, and the native languages in GB and all that. Urdu is unnatural. That is why when you think of Pakistan, it is not only, it's an unnatural state for many reasons. Even Pakistan doesn't have a history. There's no history in Pakistan. Same problem with Bangladesh. They have their own problems of identity. The one identity which binds them is Bengali culture. And today in Bangladesh, you see that Bengali culture being broken. Because in their way of thinking, Bengali culture is Hindu culture. You see that coming out from them. And then a Muslim Bengali culture. And they're killing it. They're killing whatever culture they have. So it's not only a historical revision which is happening in Bengal or East Pakistan or Bangladesh, call it what you want. It is also a cultural revisionism which is taking place. And that is dangerous. This is a conflicted nation. That's why I'm taking trouble to highlight how we have to handle East Pakistan or Bangladesh. Because I don't see much difference between East Pakistan and Bangladesh today. The one thing which is common is their anti-India feeling. It was there then, it is there now. The 3 points which led to the 71 war. We call it the 1971 India-Pakistan war. Bangladeshis call it their war of liberation. But now they've even said, no, there was no war of liberation. The war of liberation was what happened last year. That's why I said, They have revised their history, and the people who don't pay respect to their history don't have a future. And if a nation or a people don't have a future, they'll be troublesome to everyone. This is going to stay. You have to understand. Okay, anyway, that's why I said this is reasons leading to the 1971 war rather than the liberation war of Bangladesh. My logic. I would like Bangladeshis to say, no, you're talking nonsense. But these are the facts. The reason why, the main reason where everything boiled over, leading to the war 1 year later, was Cyclone Bola. It happened in November 1970. It devastated East Pakistan. Anything between 3 lakh to 5 lakh people died. And we'll talk of it a little later. The second point was political discontent. Very funnily, November, this cyclone happened. Next month, the elections took place. 1970 general election. And the Awami League won a majority. But that victory was not recognized by West Pakistan. We'll talk of that in detail. So this was the second pointer. And the third was Operation Searchlight, which happened on 25th March 1971. That was when it started. That was when the military crackdown on Bangladesh, now Bangladesh, then East Pakistan, started. And the genocide started on that day. And as we speak, the genocide was at its peak. So somewhere the Pakistanis understood that the Pakistanis and the army in particular understood that the war is imminent, and the only way to avert it is to kill more and more East Bangladeshis or East Pakistanis. Call it what you want. They're today one and the same because they've forgotten what happened to them. So we'll talk of Bola. Look at this. 1970, a cyclone in the Bay of Bengal claimed 5 lives and changed the course of a nation. Which nation did the course change for? Pakistan? Yes. It gave birth also to Bangladesh, as you know it today. But in Bangladesh, people don't even remember Bola. After all, it happened 1970. How many years back? 55 years back. So people have forgotten it. So it contributed in a great way to the 1971 India-Pakistan war. The government was of West Pakistan or Pakistan because Pakistan capital was there, not here. Dhaka was the provincial capital. It was there in Islamabad, Rawalpindi. Right? That neglect brought that feeling of alienation. Alienation from the West. Of course, nationalistic movement and independence and all was later. But the alienation was completed on that day. Right? It is still considered by many as one of the biggest natural disasters in history. See, this is the interesting thing which I've written here. While natural disasters are apolitical, the response was not. If tomorrow a natural disaster hits Tamil Nadu, and if the government of India neglects it, it's a political neglect. The disaster is not political, but the aftermath is political. And that happened in Bangladesh. Okay? It led to callous indifference to suffering of Bengalis. and well, the results are what you are. This is it. This is a black and white photograph of that area. People were not very well off those days, but whatever they were, they suffered. Right? Uh, Look at this. You can see devastation. What little they had. Right? So, yeah, before I get into this, there are stories which are there. I can cover it in great detail. In November, when this cyclone happened, a lot of aid came into Bangladesh, but it was never dispersed. Uh, Yahya Khan came, saw, and left the next day without any solution. He said, "You carry on, do what you want." And India was prepared to help. Who was the first responder to any disaster in Bangladesh or East Pakistan? It was India, and India was prepared because everything within Pakistan was done and dusted. It's not that we didn't suffer; we also suffered. After all, we were just neighbors there. Bengal suffered, but the Indian state had better capacities, and it was largely the southern half of Bangladesh which suffered. So we helped them. We could have helped them, but they didn't take it. Neither did they allow Indian help to go in, nor did they help. And very strangely, a lot of supplies, lot of relief material for the, whatever happened in the operation, Cyclone Bola, which happened in then East Pakistan, relief material landed up in West Pakistan. And Pakistan didn't bother to transport anything across. So, okay. So that is the reality, right? That's the reality. Then the elections. November, this operation, the Cyclone Bola happens. In December, the elections take place. And the utter neglect of the people gets reflected in the fact that Awami League gets a sweeping victory. Right? That's the first general elections of Pakistan. Earlier, they were all provincial elections of some kind. And Sheikh Mujibur Rahman got an absolute majority, and I'll show you the figures also. And as per the constitution of Pakistan at that point of time, he had the right to form the government of Pakistan. He was supposed to be the Prime Minister of Pakistan. But he was arrested. Of course, that was through searchlight. We'll talk of it. Bhutto didn't accept the verdict. And Bhutto was the boss then. He said, I will not transfer power to Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Bhutto was, when you say boss, he was the nominal head of the government. The dictator was Yahya Khan. And that led to a civil disobedience in East Pakistan. And all this I remember very vaguely. You're talking about a time when I was in 10th standard or 11th standard. That all this happening. People talking of it, discussing it in our homes, in our drawing rooms, in the classes. Our teachers used to tell us all this. That what's happening in Pakistan. Right? Look at this. Look at this. This is a very interesting set of data. Right? Awami League got 160 seats in the east. The rest, PPP was next half the number. It was only 60 or 80, whatever. And that's it. The expectation at that point of time was that, look, people in the east will not vote together. There were many parties in the east also. There were many parties in the east. So people in the east will be forced to come to PPP. PPP, Bhutto was the one who got the maximum votes in West Pakistan. So he said people will come and will form a coalition and they will be dabawed, ye wo. And till then, that was the thing that people in the East never voted together. But now, because of Operation Bola, see, that's why Bola is very important for many things. The alienation which people felt all from 1947 to 70 got concentrated because of Operation the Cyclone Bola, where people suffered and they were. I mean, people 5 lakh people dying is not a joke. Okay, and they were neglected. They were left to their own means. So entire East Pakistan voted for Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Clean sweep. As a result, with that, he was to become the Prime Minister of Pakistan. And Bhutto wanted to be the Prime Minister of Pakistan, and Yahya Khan wanted to hand over power. The whole idea of Yahya Khan today is vilified for contributing to the breakup of Pakistan. Yes, he was, because that fellow was a debauch. What he wanted was to drink. He used to get drunk, go loaf around in a car naked with one of his concubines, some singer. All that I don't want to get involved with. And then he wanted to get rid of this political thing. When Bhutto refused to hand over power to Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, he had to continue, and rest is history. The election results were denied. What happened? Civil disobedience. Naturally, if I vote for a party and I'm denied, I will go in for civil disobedience. It resulted in mass protests, non-cooperation, complete East Pakistan. Mujibur Rahman called for strikes. All this started in December, January of 1971. So contrast it with what happened in Pakistan now. Same thing. Election result completely hijacked. Today, the people of Pakistan have lost their own, what do I say, Zamir, their own pride, that their votes are being absolutely, stolen. They're denied of their basic rights, their election results, everything. And the chap whom they voted for is in jail, and the people of Pakistan are under military law and they're doing nothing about it. See what a funny state this is. See the despicable state in which they are. They have no pride in themselves, Pakistanis. They all can do is like 49 jets shot down. This is it. Those days, at that time, Mujib proclaimed independence, and then it came out civil war in East Pakistan. So the civil war started. Why am I showing this business of civil war? Is Pakistan heading into such a situation? Is it incrementally going there? This 27th Amendment, what's happening in Balochistan, what's happening in KP, what's happening with Imran Khan in jail? Will something catastrophic happen in Pakistan? It's an open question. I don't know whether that will happen or not. Let's see. The only thing I still respect Bangladeshis is they fought for their rights. Then, not now. Then started Operation Searchlight. The political thing started, soon after the election results were out. Bhutto didn't give power. He says, I'll not transfer power to Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. And Mujibur Rahman started civil disobedience, and it was in a state of civil war, virtually. And all that. And on 25th March, Yahya Khan launched a crackdown in East Pakistan. It was an era, it was a time from March 1971 to 3rd December 1971 when the war started, India-Pakistan war. It was mass murder, rape of Bangladeshi civilians, students, intellectuals, and violence against the Hindu minority. And mind you, the Hindu minority was quite a bit then. Targeted. The Harvard International Review, right, much later wrote this article. Much later. It says the past has yet to leave the present, genocide in Bangladesh. Have a look at it. This Harvard wrote this article in 23. Have a look at it. It will give you a big, clear idea as to what happened then. So, Searchlight was the final straw in the camel's back. Okay, so we'll talk of Searchlight a little detail. It was brutal. It was a planned military crackdown against the civilians of East Pakistan. Okay, the goal was very clear: suppress the nationalist sentiment in East Pakistan, and it would cover. Initially, it was targeted, but later it covered the entire eastern wing. Okay, it was planned to be a swift, decisive, and simultaneous strike across all major cities of East Pakistan. What is the key objectives? It was first neutralize all opposition. Anyone who opposed West Pakistan and the military rule, because remember at that time it was a dictatorship. Yahya Khan was still a dictator. It was under martial law. Anyone who opposed it was to be neutralized. Okay, completely, including Pakistan army personnel, including people of the East Bengal Rifles. East Bengal Rifles was one of their regiments. And it was targeted. They were disarmed. The East Bengal center, I think in Chittagong, was surrounded. East Bengal Rifles. And they were disarmed. And many of them were killed also. And many of them were arrested. All their officers were arrested. Some of them ran off. And some of them went and joined the Indian Army. And they formed the Mukti Bahini and the Mukti Fauj. Initially, it was called the Mukti Fauj and then the Mukti Bahini. We'll talk of that a little later. Well, not today, some other day. Okay. They targeted all key locations. Pakistani troops, just one fine day, moved out of it. That crackdown, I still remember that day. I mean, what I came to know was on the next day by news. Or next day or day after that. I don't remember, but I remember that Pakistani troops went into all cities, universities, libraries, public places. Okay. Then intellectuals, academics, students were all lifted and some killed. Okay. The East Bengal Rifles, that was a terrific operation which the West Pakistanis did. Just surrounded them, finished them off. There was a communication blackout. Those days, communication blackout meant what? Radio stopped. News coming out stopped. Yeah, we used to get still news because people were on ground. All the embassies were on ground. The consuls were on ground. They used to give out information and it used to come out. But all the foreign journalists were expelled overnight. So whatever, and especially in the countryside. So thereafter, dispatches from Bangladesh came out by, through the foreign consulates who were there, and some people who went in from India. The border was quite porous. Okay, right. It's not only the East Bengal Rifles who were disarmed. The Police were disarmed. Paramilitary forces, everyone of Bengali origin, thank you. And that started a gory thing of rape, yeah, woe, all that. And then it resulted in a huge humanitarian crisis. 10 million Bengali refugees. 10 million. 1 crore. And they went into Assam, they went into Bangladesh, Bengal, North Bengal, went into Tripura, went into Meghalaya. Because those days it was Meghalaya was not there, it was only Assam. And it was a great strain on us. Remember, we were a poor nation, we didn't have anything. We ourselves were in problems, but we helped them. The thing which I find very strange, that's why there's revisionism, is it's not that the Indian Army freed Bangladesh or gave independence or helped them gain their independence. I'm of the opinion that, look, a large part of the struggle and the independence which Bangladesh got was of their own struggle. They paid a heavy price for this. Not a simple thing. 10 million people being displaced, 5 lakh people dying, people getting raped, their mothers, their children, their wives, everyone getting. It's a heavy price the people of Bangladesh have paid. We only helped them get their independence. For us, it was a war. For them, it was a matter of life struggle. And yet they disregard it. One. And plus, we helped them in that. We took care of them, free of cost. 9 months, March to now, December. 1 crore thing. And today they talk what they want. We don't need anything from them. Okay. But remember, a people who have forgotten all this, what do you call them? I don't have a word for it. Even is that the kind of loyalty you have or the feelings you have? I don't know what you call, but I am sure dogs are better. Right? I leave it at that. Our Prime Minister appealed to the international community. Yeah, feed them, take care of them. No one was prepared to believe us. So you have to understand, we have to understand that when you talk of Pakistan, when you talk of what Pakistan suffered, in Op Sindoor, what happened, no one will believe you. They didn't believe you 70 years back. Why will they believe you now? No one believed India in 1971. No one is believing India in 2025. Is there anything new? Ultimately, when things came to a head, war was mandatory, and then that's why we went into a war with Pakistan. We couldn't bear the strain. We didn't have the capability, but we helped them. We didn't. As late as 2015, Foreign Affairs writes when refugees were welcome. Okay. I think there's an article which, I don't know whether. Okay. There is an article somewhere where I see the difference, the way refugees were handled in the Russia-Ukraine war, and then see the difference. It's an analysis as to, look, we welcome the refugees and help them, took care of them. People say we welcome them because to destroy East Pakistan and split Pakistan and all that. It wasn't so. I've lived through that era. I remember we said, yeah, people, this is a humanitarian problem. It's not a political problem. People responded as humanitarians, not a political response. And we welcomed them. We took care of them. And then we honorably sent them back. Look at it, what's happening in Russia and Ukraine. Whether we like it or not, Putin has taken two provinces, Donetsk and Luhansk. He's got no way he's going to return it back. He says, if you want to end the war, these two regions are mine. We could have done that then. And no one in East Bengal would have had an option. But we did the honorable thing. We sent them back to their land and left that land for themselves. And today, these stupid Bangladeshis say that we have evil designs on them. They don't know their history. Or people who don't know their history or who don't want to know their history are consigned to live in a time of no future. That's the important thing I'm trying to make. And when we have to deal with Bangladesh, I'm trying to connect what's happening earlier and with what. That's the way I do things. So we're going to have problems with these people. Today they say, oh, India wants to benefit from us. If we wanted to benefit from Bangladesh, we could have done it 70 years back without anything. What could they have done? They had nothing anyway. We could have just left them. They would have been still a penal colony of West Pakistan. Why did we have to interfere and give them freedom? These third-rate fellows. At times I feel that we made a mistake. But it's okay. That's part of being India. That's the pride which we carry. Yeah, I read an article recently comparing what India did. And mind you, this was written not by an Indian, by someone else. How India treated the refugees coming from, Pakistan, and how Europe is treating the refugees coming out of Ukraine. A whale of a difference. This is the shelters we gave them. Mind you, these are all army tents. For those of you who don't know, they're all 180-pounder tents which I grew up with in the younger days. These are all tents. This is the inner of the tent. Each tent used to have an inner and an outer. From what I can see here, inner and an outer, when suitably placed, it can be split into two. That's what happened. Or rather, it can be two tents. You can manufacture two tents out of one 180-pounder tent. You can see it. How do you manage 1 crore people? You give them food, shelter, and everything. People came out like this. That's all they had. They carried whatever they had on their head and came out. They came with their cattle, their sheep, and everything. This is from Getty Images. Look at that. Look, there's a photographer called Raghu Roy. See his images which he's put out. Some of the best pictures he captures in his photographs, Raghu Roy's, of the Bangladesh war. I met him. He was the brother of our GOC in 20 days long back. So I met him. When did I meet him? This was in 81 I met him. Some of the best black and white pictures of Bangladesh war you'll see if you search for Raghu Roy. Like I said, If I put them up here today, there's some classic pictures. They give grim reality of what happened, and YouTube will ban me. Okay. 9 months campaign of terror, which Bangladeshis have forgotten. That's the genocide which Bangladesh has forgotten. It's no more the world has forgotten or the US has forgotten. Everyone has forgotten. 70 years is a long time you think to remember. But Bangladesh has forgotten. Right? There's no doubt. We have not forgotten. Bangladesh has forgotten. That's the pity. We have not forgotten it because we don't want it to be repeated anywhere in the world. And that is why many times we take a stance the way we are supposed to take a stance on humanitarian grounds. And this is something we have to be proud of. But what is this? What did the see when today this Pakistanis talk of Muslim Ummah, ye, wo, all that. Look at what they did to their own brother Pakistanis. They were Pakistanis then, isn't it? Their own mass killings and genocide. Death toll is anything between 3 lakhs to 3 million, that is 30 lakhs killed. Indiscriminate attacks on students on Dhaka University, residential areas. Residential areas, people were killed. They used flamethrowers and machine guns on people who were trying to escape burning buildings. This is their Islamic thing. And later mass graves were destroyed across the entire length and breadth of Bangladesh. And Pakistan army had a Al-Badr militia. With that militia, Al-Badr militia, they started targeting people, intellectuals. It said that the figures are 991 teachers, 49 physicians, 42 lawyers and 13 generalists. Targeted killing. Their intellectuals of Bangladesh were finished off. Same thing now they are doing to their own people. Awami League, targeted killings. Hindus, targeted killings. Any opposition, targeted killings. And Al-Badr and they are where do they come from? Today's Jamaat-e-Islami, their roots go back there. Okay. So you see that it was a systemic sexual violence was carried out. Can you imagine? Sexual violence was used was weaponized and was used for ethnic cleansing. Anything between 2 lakhs to 4 lakhs Bengali women and girls were raped. And many were held in their pockets of military camps and repeatedly raped. They were war property. And there are international reports of people saying that these people were raped and people had children, babies, they didn't know what to do. If you see the rise of illegal children in Bangladesh at that point of time, very high. Today, this chap Yunus gives a distorted map of Bangladesh to a Pakistani inviting him in. This is the Bangladesh we're dealing with. They targeted the Hindu community. Okay, and this came to the notice of Edward Kennedy, who's John F. Kennedy's youngest brother. 60% of the 10 million who fled to India were Hindus. Some of them probably never returned back. If you go to Kachar, that area, Kachar, Hailakandi, Karimganj, North Kachar, Sylhet, borders Sylhet, you still find people of that vintage. In fact, when I was commanding my brigade out there, I spent a lot of time there. I used to deal with local people, and some of them are from originally from Gujarat and Marwar and all. And I used to speak to them. Then the family settled there. You go and speak to them, they'll tell you the stories. And then there was forced displacement internally. All this happened as part of Op Searchlight. Slowly, steadily, incrementally increasing for 9 months. Okay, while 10 million people fled to India, there were 30 million plus who were internally displaced. Okay, all this is well documented. I am not talking nonsense. All this is well documented. And you have to read this thing called the blood telegram. And we'll talk of blood telegram after this. The blood telegram called out American complicity in this genocide. So today, when people talk of humanitarian intervention, all that, America, genocide, right? And it is a genocide by all counts, by any. See, the thing about this genocide which happened by Pakistan in Bangladesh was widely dissected by academics, intellectuals, internationally. Everyone. It was a genocide by all standards. And it was recognized as a genocide by United Nations. We'll talk about the blood telegram. You might think blood telegram is all about blood. No, it was not about blood. It was a telegram. It was a pretty strongly worded dissent cable telegram sent by the American Consul General in Dhaka. His name was Archer Blood. And it was signed by 20 members of his staff. The consulate, US consulate in Dhaka, 20 members, and the Consul General signed this telegram and sent it to Nixon. And they protested to Nixon, don't do this. And they said, you can't be in silence. You can't be inactive when this kind of a genocide is going on. It described the systematic massacres which Pakistan army did to the people of now Bangladesh. And they used pretty strong language. To the extent, it says our government has failed to denounce the suppression of democracy. Our government has failed to denounce atrocities. Our government has evidenced what many will call moral bankruptcy. What is they also reported on selective genocide, targeting intellectuals and Hindu minority and whatever. They very clearly brought out how the East Bengal rifles were decapitated. And all this was done by US weapons. They said all this in that telegram. US weapons enabled all this. Okay? And what was the reaction? Reaction was that fellow was recalled, Archer Blood. Kissinger and Nixon refused to accept it, and Archer Blood, they finished his career. Why? Because at that time, Nixon and Kissinger were pursuing a good equation with China. And they wanted Pakistan. Pakistan always had good equations with China. So they wanted to use Pakistan and Yahya Khan and all that to patch up with China in their fight against USSR. The same story is happening today. In a very strange manner. If you go back in history, Pakistan has always been sleeping in two beds. That's why I call Pakistan a whore. Randi. It has slept with China, it has slept with America, it will sleep with Saudis. Okay. So the White House dismissed Archer Blood's telegram and recalled him and sent him out. That is the end of his story. Right? And till date, till date, the blood telegram is considered one of the most significant and strongly worded expressions of dissent in US Foreign Service history. It exposed the real politic calculations of Nixon Kissinger foreign policy and their willingness to overlook a humanitarian catastrophe for strategic gain. The incident was a key factor in the later establishment of the State Department's formal dissent channel, a mechanism for officials to formally critique US foreign policy without fear or retaliation. And these are all documented. People have got Pulitzer prizes for this. We must understand what happened in Bangladesh. That's why I call it a forgotten genocide. The Bengalis have forgotten it. They've completely forgotten what happened to their own thing, right? Yeah. Now I'll talk a little about India's intervention in Pakistan, presentive thing. We started covertly supporting and training the Mukti Fauj. Initially, it was called the Mukti Fauj, and then the Mukti Bahini. Okay. This led to the war. Yahya Khan saw this, so he felt that he should strike and conduct a war against India. What led to the 1971 war? My start was that. The heading is this reasons for the 1971 war. So all these three said, Yahya Khan said, I have to and strike against India because India is helping all these people. India is helping the dissenters of Bangladesh, of East Pakistan. So I have to defeat India. Now the thought process of defeating India in those days, the strategy was you defend the East by attacking in the West. And hence, on 3rd December 1971, Operation Genghis Khan was launched with an air attack on India. That was the start point. Right? And despite all their story of talking, 49, what shall I say, jets down, by at some point of time they knew the situation was critical. PAF to fight till victory is achieved. They still were selling this dream of victory. Okay. And things like that. And, let me, right? And they were giving appeals to every Pakistani, all that. Then by then Bhutto had started talking UN as a farce. Then all that story started off. Right? And of course, we'll go as we go along. Maybe next week every week I'll take up something or the other on this war. So today I brought you from the time 1 year before the war with Operation Bola till date, where we are. The entire story. I'll take the story forward. I'll explain to you how the operations unfolded. I'll explain to you many facets of the war as they keep coming out. Because it's important for us to understand this. And I'll try and keep giving you equations between what happened then and today, what's the situation